So in this segment of chemistry, we are going to look at percentage composition under your stoichiometry. So if you want to find the percentage composition of a particular element in a compound, it's the mass of the element in the compound over the mass of the compound multiplied by 100. For example, I can tell you to say, maybe number one, to say, find, the percentage of, oxygen. So I want you to find the percentage of oxygen in the compound sodium sulfate with the formula. The first thing that you need to do is to find, the mister. So remember I told you that there are so many ways of finding the mister. Yeah, what we used previously or what I want to use. So you look at how many sodium are actually there. There are 2 multiplied by the mister, the relative atomic mass, which is a 23, plus go to sulfites 1. There's only 1 atom times the atomic mass 32, plus oxygen there are 4 times 16. So this is going to give us a 46 plus that is a 32 plus a 64. When we add all that, 46 plus 32 plus 64, what is that going to give you? So it is going to give you 142. That's what we mean. So if I wanted to know the percentage of oxygen in that compound sodium sulfate, I'm going to say what is the mass of the element I'm dealing with. Remember, this was for sodium, this was for sulfur, and that was for oxygen. So the mass of oxygen is simply 64 over the total mister, which is 142. Then multiply this by 100%. So what is that going to give you? So 64 over 142 multiplied by 100. So that is going to give us, in this case, to 1 decimal place, if you want, that would be 45.1 percent. So that is the percentage of oxygen, the percentage of oxygen in the compound that you have been given. So it's not complicated, it is very simple. Let's let me give you another one. We are calling as being sodium carbonate. Now for sodium carbonate, I want us to find the percentage composition of each element in the compound. So the first thing that we do, we need to find the mister of this whole compound sodium carbonate. Remember the sodium, there are 2 sodiums times the atomic mass 23, plus carbon, it's 1 times a 12, plus oxygen, it's 3 times 16 there. So that will be this times, that will give you 46 plus a 12 plus 48. When you add that 46 plus 12 plus 48, that will give you a 106. So now once you find the mister, it is possible you can even find the percentage composition of each element. It is possible, for example, let me start the percentage composition of sodium. Remember this was for sodium, for carbon, and for oxygen. So if I want to find the percentage composition of sodium, I'll say what is the mass of sodium in the compound? It is actually 46 over the total mister, which is 106. Multiply this by 100. What will that give us? 46 over 106 multiplied by 100. That is going to give me, that is giving me to 1 decimal place, that will be 43.4%. Let's go to the percentage composition of carbon. Again, you look at the mass of carbon, which was a 12 over 106 multiplied by 100. So what is that going to give us? 12 over 106 then multiplied by 100. That is giving me, in this case, 11.3%. What about the percentage composition of oxygen in the compound that we have? Again, you look at the mass, the total mass of oxygen in the compound, which is 48 over 106 multiplied by 100. Again, when you try to key it in your calculator, you'll be able to see what that will give you. So this is giving me 45.3%. Now the good part is that if you are dealing with a compound, if you were to add the percentage composition of all the elements in that compound you are dealing with, it should give you 100. For example, if I try to add 43.4 plus 11.3 plus 45.3, it is giving me 100%, because the total percentage in a compound will always be equal to 100. It may give you 99.9%, but when you round off, that will give you 100%. That's what we mean. Well, there are other questions that they are going to be asking you, and let me just give you, some few gists that you need to remember. For example, they can simply tell you to say, find, the percentage. So find the percentage of, find the percentage of iron in, iron, 2 oxide. So iron 2 oxide there. So they can also tell you to find the percentage of iron in iron 2 oxide. It is possible we can do that one. Again, the key is you finding the mixture of iron 2 oxide. So how many iron are there? It is 2 times the atomic mass, 56 plus. Please check your periodic table. Oxygen, it is 3 times 16 there. So if you multiply 2 times 56, that will give us a 112. Yeah, 2 times 56, that's a 112, plus that will give us a 48. So plus 48, that is going to give us 160. All right, so meaning for me to find the percentage of iron, I'm going to say, remember this was for iron and that was for oxygen. So what is the total mass of iron? It is 112 over the total mixture, which is 160 multiplied by 100%. So it's not difficult. 112 over 160 multiplied by 100, so that is going to give us 70%. Now imagine if you know that iron is 70%, can you fail to know what oxygen is? Remember, the total percentage gives you 100. So if I say 100 minus 70 to give me 30%, so oxygen is 30. Let's try to see if that is actually true. The percentage of oxygen, the total mass of oxygen is simply 48 over 160 multiplied by 100. If you key it in on your calculator, 160 then multiply by 100 there, that is going to give you 30%. All right, let me do just one last question that I've actually seen students are making common mistakes. Let me show you one that students actually make a common mistake with. For example, they can tell you to say find the percentage, find the percentage of nitrogen. So find the percentage of nitrogen in ammonium. Maybe they tell you ammonium nitrate. Yeah, with the formula NH4NO3. Of course, they want us to find the percentage of nitrogen in ammonium nitrate. We need to find the mixture of the ammonium nitrate there. So what is the mixture of the ammonium nitrate? Remember, I've got nitrogen there, which is equal to 1 multiplied by 14, plus hydrogen, that would be 4 times 1, plus another nitrogen, which is 1 times 14, plus 3 times 16 there. So that is going to be 14. Remember, this is nitrogen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, plus 4 plus 14 plus 48. So if you add all that, what is that going to give us? 14 plus 4 plus 14 plus 48. That is going to give us 80. Now, if they tell you to find the percentage of nitrogen, it is the total nitrogen in the compound. So I have nitrogen here, which is 14, and another nitrogen, which is 14. Don't just take one, but you pick out only the nitrogen. So that would be 14 plus 14. That would be 14 plus 14. That is 28 over the total mixture, times 100. So that will give us 28 over 80 times what? 100. So if you look at that, 28 over 80 multiplied by 100, what is that going to give you? So that will give you 35%. So this is the correct one. That is basically, the percentage of nitrogen. Thank you so much for watching. Please look out for more videos.